Hello students, acolytes, and apprentices of the Force. I welcome you back to another Star Wars holocron. Today we will learn about the path to the dark side, and we will learn about Darth Vader's fears. In the shadowed corridors of the Death Star, where the dark was a cloak for the Empire's sins, Darth Vader, the Emperor's right hand, moved like a specter of doom. His presence alone was enough to silence rooms, to make the hearts of hardened soldiers skip beats. Yet, within the armored chest of this feared Sith Lord, there beat the heart of a man who had known fear, who had been humbled by it, and who carried it with him like a hidden scar. Once, he had been Anakin Skywalker, the chosen one, destined to bring balance to the Force. But fate, twisted by his own choices, had led him down a path from which there was no return. Now, as Darth Vader, he was feared by all but feared two above all others. The first was a ghost from his past, a memory that haunted him more than any specter could, Obi-Wan Kenobi. The mere thought of his former master brought a turmoil within him that Vader could scarcely control. It was a fear born not of weakness, but of a defeat that had reshaped his destiny. Their duel on Mustafar, where lava rivers mirrored the hellish rage in Anakin's heart, had ended in his greatest defeat. Obi-Wan had left him more machine now than man, trapped in a prison of his own making. Vader had hunted him for years, driven by a mix of hatred and an unacknowledged need for closure. Yet beneath the layers of anger and the dark side's seduction, there was fear. It was a fear of the man who had bested him, who had seen him at his most vulnerable, and had spared him a fate worse than death. This fear was a constant reminder of his failure, a whisper that despite all his power, he had once been defeated. But it was not just the memory of defeat that haunted Vader. It was the knowledge that Obi-Wan represented a part of his past that he could never fully escape. The Jedi Master was a link to the man he once was, a man capable of love, compassion, and hope. To face Obi-Wan was to face the ghost of Anakin Skywalker, and that was a confrontation Vader feared more than any battle. As Vader patrolled the cold, metallic halls of the Death Star, his thoughts often drifted to Obi-Wan. He wondered if their paths would cross again, if he would have the chance to prove that Darth Vader had eclipsed Anakin Skywalker entirely. Yet, deep down, he knew that Obi-Wan Kenobi held a power over him that went beyond the Force, a power rooted in the past and the truth of who he once was. And so, Darth Vader, the feared Sith Lord, moved through the darkness, haunted by the Ghost of Mustafar and the specter of a duel that had defined him. In the vastness of space, aboard the symbol of the Empire's might, he was a figure of terror. But within the confines of his own mind, he was still a man wrestling with his fears, with the shadow of Obi-Wan Kenobi ever looming over him, a reminder of the light he had once embodied and the path he had chosen to forsake. Beyond the fear of a ghost from his past, Darth Vader harbored a deeper, more complex fear. This fear was not rooted in the specter of defeat or the remnants of his former self. It was a fear born of dependence, of the realization that his existence, his purpose, and his power were inextricably linked to one being, Emperor Palpatine, Darth Sidious himself. Palpatine was not just his master, but the architect of his fate. He had shaped Anakin Skywalker's fall from the light and had been the catalyst for his transformation into Darth Vader. The Emperor was the embodiment of the dark side's promise, offering power, revenge, and a new purpose to fill the void left by unbearable loss. Yet with this promise came a chain, a bond forged not just in loyalty, but in a deep-seated fear of loss once more. Vader's fear of Palpatine was multifaceted. It was not the fear of the Emperor's immense power, or his ability to inflict pain and suffering. Vader had felt the sting of Palpatine's Force lightning. He had witnessed firsthand the depths of his cruelty. But these were aspects of Palpatine that Vader respected, elements of strength he aspired to emulate. No, Vader's true fear was the prospect of losing Palpatine, of being left adrift without the dark anchor that tethered him to his new identity. This fear was a reflection of Vader's greatest losses, his mother, Padme, the Jedi Order, his very humanity. Palpatine was the last link to any sense of purpose, the only constant in a life defined by change and loss. To lose Palpatine would be to confront the void within himself, a void that threatened to consume what little remained of Anakin Skywalker. As Vader stood beside the Emperor, gazing out at the expanse of space from the Death Star, he was reminded of his place in Palpatine's new order. He was powerful, yes, but he was also a servant, bound to the will of the Emperor. The thought that he might one day lose this connection, either through Palpatine's death or his own fall from favor, filled him with a dread more profound than any he had known. This fear was not just about losing his purpose. It was about confronting the ultimate truth of his existence, that beneath the armor, beneath the power and the rage, he was nothing without Palpatine. He was a creation of the Emperor's will, a tool to be used and discarded as seen fit. This realization was a constant shadow, a reminder that for all his strength, Darth Vader was still bound by chains of his own making. Yet in the depths of his fear, there was also a flicker of defiance. Vader began to entertain thoughts of his destiny, of the possibility that he might transcend his role as Palpatine's enforcer. These thoughts were dangerous, heretical even, but they were a testament to the indomitable will of Anakin Skywalker, a spark of the man who had once defied destiny to forge his own path. In the end, Darth Vader's fear of Palpatine was a mirror to his fear of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Both were reflections of his own insecurities, his own losses, but they also represented the dual paths that lay before him, the path of the past, marked by the ghost of Obi-Wan, and the path of the future, shadowed by the specter of Palpatine. In the heart of the galaxy's most feared Sith Lord, these fears waged a silent war, a battle for the soul of Anakin Skywalker, whose outcome would shape the fate of the galaxy. And so Darth Vader moved forward, a figure of power and terror, yet internally torn by the fears that defined him. In the grand scheme of the Empire's might, he was a pillar of strength, but within the confines of his own mind, he was a man caught between the ghosts of his past and the shadow of his future, forever wrestling with the dualities of his existence. But what do you think about Darth Vader and his fears? Did he really fear Obi-Wan and the Emperor? As always, my students, thank you for watching, and may the Force be with you.